Okay. So for recording purposes, this is the second part of the class. The first part was finishing off Othello, and now we're moving on to the Duchess of Malfi. Let me share the slides, and we are on our way. Okay, I don't know whether you guys can see the slides. Can you see them?
Yes.
Okay, good. So this is the tragedy of the Duchess of Malfi. So when we say it's the tragedy, it means that it promises us something. So when I say it's a tragedy, what comes to your mind right away, given the experience that we now have with tragedies? So what you
The
understand
death,
when,
the death
go
of,
ahead.
yeah, the death of the hero.
Eventually, we have the eventual tragic death and fall of the hero. Yeah, what else? But you're starting from the end.
The circumstances that lead the hero go down.
Yeah, yeah, it can be also part of what we are going to see. Yes. Okay, tragedy. And tragedies come in different forms and shapes. Some of them are just tragedies, traditional tragedies, like we have seen with Othello, and some of them have other names. So when we say, for example, revenge tragedy, when I say domestic tragedy. So what we have here is not only tragedy. So you have tragedy and you also have revenge tragedy. And the two of them has features that we are going to detect and trace in the Duchess of Malfi. So it's the tragedy of, last time it was the tragedy of Othello. This time around, it's the tragedy of the Duchess of Malfi. So it's going to be about the Duchess of Malfi. Okay, and what happens to the Duchess of Malfi? Let's first of all agree on what a Duchess is, and then we go to the what happens to her. So what's a Duchess? If we check the dictionary up for the word Duchess, what are we getting?
Can I answer?
Okay.
It is a woman who who holds the rank of a duke,
Mm,
which is the male version, in her own right, or is a wife of a duke.
yes. So whatever
A high rank
a duke, yeah, a duke
noble.
can be the ruler of a place,
Yes.
and this place is normally called dukedom. So you have we call it in Arabic الدقية, like دقية
Yeah.
البندقية, for example. So dukedom is a city state. Is a city. I mean, it can be a city, like for example, let's think of it like, for example, Qatar, where it's small, but it is a city state. Uh, so you have the head of this dukedom or city state, and we call him a duke. And if, yeah, of course, he's married, his wife would be the duchess. And the duchess herself can take over and becomes the queen of the land. So can we safely say that a duke in a city state is like a king in a kingdom? Yes. Can we say that a duchess, a ruling duchess, or a sitting duchess is the equivalent of a queen in a kingdom? The answer is yes. Okay. So are we talking, when I say the tragedy of the Duchess of Malfi, are we talking about the tragedy of a woman or a man?
A woman.
A woman.
Woman.
Yeah. Is it, I don't know whether you have seen or heard of or read other tragedies, but it seems to me that the tragedies that have been or were produced at the time were all tragedies of men, judging from the titles. Look at the titles of Shakespeare's tragedies, for example. King Lear, King, I'm saying King, King Lear, male. Hamlet, Hamlet is male. Coriolanus, Coriolanus is male. Who else? Othello, Othello is male. Richard II, Richard II is male. See? So tragedies are primarily of and about male characters. Um, Even remember other writers, for example, Dr. Faustus. Yeah, Dr. Faustus is male. Temperlin, male, and so on. So is it new? Is this new? I mean, to have a tragedy on and about a woman? Yes. Actually, quite unheard of, quite unprecedented, if you like. It didn't happen so often during those times. So we're going to tweak the name or the term that we're going to use for the tragic hero. And instead of saying tragic hero, we're going to say tragic heroine. So what we are in here and today, when we speak about the tragedy of the Duchess of Malfi, we speak about tragic heroine, which is, you find it even difficult to pronounce sometimes because you're not used to it. You're used to tragic heroes. Okay. So does it mean that the features that we now know about the tragic hero apply here to the tragic heroine? The answer is yes. So what are the features of a tragic hero that we can apply here? We're talking about an exceptional character. I think being a queen, being a duchess is being exceptional. And exceptional not only because of rank, it's exceptional because of what we will know about this lady, the qualities that she's going to bring to the tragedy: valor, courage, self-assertiveness, um, the ability to judge things, taking matters into her hands when there has to be uh, an action or a decision, overpowering the other characters in terms of character and resolve, a lot of things. So exceptional, but she, like any tragic hero, she has a flaw. Um, she has a vulnerability of a sort. Like human beings, we're all fallible. We all make errors and mistakes, and that would lead her to commit a number of errors. And one of those errors happens to be deadly and tragic and fatal. And you know what happens at the end. She falls, and she falls tragically. This is, again, the trajectory that we're headed to. Okay, so the tragedy of the Duchess of Malfi. So she is not the Duchess of London. Um, and Othello was also set in Venice, which is in Italy. The Duchess of Malfi is also set in Malfi, which is in Italy. Why? I think we answered this question before. Why, if the play is English, it's not about England? If the play is English, why it is not set in London or Liverpool or Manchester or whatever the English city is? Just to remember, we said that people like Shakespeare and Webster may want to blame the government for a policy or a decision that it took. So if you blame the government clearly and very explicitly, you can go to jail sometimes. So in order to avoid friction uh, by friction with the government, in order to avoid being asked and investigated by a government, they would set the play in a country and a city other than London and England, so that when people ask them, why are you saying what you're saying? They can simply say, listen, we don't mean you. Read the play very well. Watch the play. It's about Malfi, which is in Italy. It's about Venice, which is in Italy. Okay? So it's one way of avoiding uh, persecution and avoiding going to jail for blaming and criticizing the government for bad policies, for example. Um, okay. Uh, so we're doing chapter 3 and 4, and chapter 3 is love and marriage in the Malfi court. Love and marriage, obviously, there is nothing wrong with people falling in love and eventually getting married and living happily ever after, right? But you would feel that this is not um, a normal kind of love, and this is not a normal kind of marriage. There will be complications having to do that we're talking about a royal court. You know what a court is. You know what a royal court is, Balat Malaki. So the events are going to take place in Malfi, which is a city-state in Italy, more specifically in the royal court of Malfi. In a royal court, what do you see? What kind of people do you have in a royal court?
King
Prince,
and queens.
Yeah,
people,
kings and queens, princes and princesses. Okay, and of course their courtiers and assistants, right? Okay, and of course we have levels. Let's move on. Okay, so this play was written by John Webster uh, a little after the Elizabethan age. The time that we're talking about is a little after the death of Queen Elizabeth I, and this is referred to as the Jacobean age. This is the time when King James I was ruling England. So John Webster belongs to the Jacobean age. Does it mean that it's a totally different age from the Elizabethan age? The answer is no. Very similar, because the space in terms of time is not big. We're talking about perhaps 5 or 10 years. So the gap is not big for ideas to change dramatically and drastically, for people to change dramatically and drastically. So whatever applied to the Elizabethan age in terms of ideas and ideologies will apply here. So we still have hierarchies. We still have established order that has to be respected and honored. We still have classes and people who are high on the social ladder and people who are low. We still have people who um, kind of honor their position on the different hierarchies. Okay, so it's almost the same take. We also have John Webster trying to get certain messages across to the audience of the time. So, like Othello, the Duchess of Malfi is a tragedy, and it's all about forbidden love, more specifically, a forbidden marriage. It's very strange because we know that there is nothing wrong with, I mean, getting married. So why would they describe marriage as forbidden? Forbidden means mamnua. It's not allowed. Why would society, why wouldn't society allow two people to get married? From our experience with Othello, why would we describe marriage or one kind of marriage as forbidden? I'm asking you.
Maybe because different religion or
Yeah,
race,
different. Yeah,
yeah,
different religions,
or
different
afraid,
races.
yeah, or afraid, uh, for example, the legacy.
Whatever that means. What do you mean by legacy?
Yeah, I mean, when some people have a legacy, so they're afraid to lose it, so they don't
Yeah.
marry anyone,
Okay.
just from the side the family.
Yes. So it can you can have different reasons. One of them would be race, different races, and society does not allow interracial marriages. It can be different ranks. You have people on top and people at the bottom, and again, they shouldn't get married. You can have a caste system, like the one, for example, in India, in some parts of India, especially northern India, where if you belong to two different castes, two different layers of society, you don't get married. Okay, so what happens if I insist? If two people, for all intents and purposes, decide that it's the thing that they should do, no matter what, will they go and get away with it? From our experience with Othello, did they get away with it? Did they
No,
live happily ever after?
no, unfortunately.
Yes, absolutely. This seems to be the message. If it gets repeated in another work of art or another literary work, it means that this was the norm, this was the system, and you're not allowed or expected to flout the system, to beat the system, to challenge the system. And if you challenge the system, um, you face the music. Um, you get punished, and you get punished very severely. So if Othello was a tragedy of race, the Duchess of Malfi is a tragedy of rank. So it's not race anymore, it's class or rank. People belonging to two different ranks or two different classes. Again, we're stressing the fact that we are in for a heroine rather than a hero. And this is again is unusual and unprecedented. And typical of tragedies, we're going to have a villain, an antagonist. If you have a protagonist, this is the main character, and the antagonist would be the opposite character, the one who does all the evil things. Again, the play is simply about the heroine's marriage. She marries for love, and obviously this would go against the wishes of her aristocratic family, and the end result is disastrous and catastrophic. Uh, so I think I need to stop here, and inshallah next week can always kind of catch up. So we can have up to 5 minutes if you guys have any questions.
Doctor,
Yes, go ahead.
the quiz will be the next week on Wednesday, right?
I think Wednesday would be a holiday or something. So let me check. So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Yeah, because
Uh,
there's no, someone told us that there's a quiz, but some students send a message that some doctors say that the quiz will be the next week on Wednesday,
I
21.
mean, you have so many courses, by the way, and they have different time periods. So you need to check with only the coordinator, and the coordinator happens to be Miss Fatma Abel Hassan.
Yeah, but
And
Miss Fatma didn't send any email to told us.
check the LMS. She normally, posts things on the LMS. And you also have the master class with her on Thursday. Don't you have the master class on Thursday, Maha?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, you need to ask. And I'll ask and also get back to you, inshallah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, um, next week, I think Tuesday is with us because as of Wednesday, I think there is a long holiday or something. So we're meeting on Tuesday, inshallah. Until then, I would like you to have read something about the Duchess of Malfi. And of course, you can always go back to the recordings. I'll release them as soon as I finish from here. Right. On this note and with this item, we'll come to the end of this lovely class. Thank you so much, and I'll see you inshallah next week. Assalamu alaikum. Bye bye.
Thank you.